This is Dish and Dirt with Gary Pickren, South Carolina's only podcast dedicated to the real estate agent craft. And now, the host of Dish and Dirt, Gary Pickren.
And greetings and welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Dish and Dirt. I'm your often opinionated but rarely wrong host, Gary Pickren, coming to you from the beautiful downtown Columbia, South Carolina offices of Blair, Cato, Pickren, Castleline. This, the second week of August 2025. On today's show, we're going to talk all about sales. Summer is over. Kids are now back in school, and sales have started to slow down, but not for our guest, Janine Sasso. She is the hyper local agent coming to us from Chicago, and she's going to join us today, and she's going to go old school on you. She's going to be talking about postcards, direct mailing, emails, geographic farming, and she is killing it in sales, and she's teaching in sales, and she's even written 2 incredible books on the subjects in sales. And if you follow her system, sounds to me like you'll be killing it too. So, but first, before we get to Janine, let's talk about a couple quick things coming up on our calendar. Remember, Dish and Dirt will be live at the South Carolina Realtors Realtor Mania, which is coming up September 17th through September 19th in Wild Dunes. There are tickets still available, and you can grab those at screaltors.org/realtormania. Why would you ever want to miss that, particularly when you can see a live recording of Dish and Dirt right there on stage? Also, don't forget our grand opening in Sumter on August 20th and the grand opening in Greenville on August 21st. So now let's go ahead and jump in with our guest, who was recommended by a longtime listener and friend of the show named Sandy. Janine was born and raised in Germany. She's a very passionate real estate expert, and I've already spent some time with her today, and I can see that passion. She has a mission to empower agents. In 2020, she launched the Hyper Local Agent, which is a training platform that is dedicated to helping real estate agents become the go-to neighborhood agent through geographic farming and direct mail marketing strategies, sending out an average of, get a load of this guy, 60,000 postcards a year as an individual agent. She personally has built a successful real estate career through direct mail, hyper-local brand recognition, and now her mission is to help other real estate agents, small businesses, owners achieve that same success. Her proven strategies empower agents to create thriving businesses, leveraging the power of geographic farming and direct mail marketing. She's also a licensed instructor in the state of Illinois, and she continues to make a significant impact in the industry and her local marketplace. So welcome, Janine. Thanks for joining us from Chicago.
What an introduction. That's amazing.
Well, you have a lot of good things going on there. I mean, real estate, training, and written 2 great books. How do you have time?
Currently writing the 3rd, so we're excited for the trilogy to be finally complete after 4 years.
Wow. I've taken a look at the books, and they look fantastic. And what I like about your books is it's a how-to. It's not just theory. It's not just if you work harder. It's actually, here are some examples. Here's some templates. Here's what you do. Here's how you do it, when you do it. And I think we need more books like that in our industry that lays it out. And I think one of the things I saw on your website that really impressed me, the person that you want to work with is somebody who's going to do. Too many people are told what they need to do, but you want to work with people who are doers. And that's what your shirt says.
100%. It says action taker on there, right? It's like we get so
Absolutely.
inspired by anything. And I mean, the podcast here is there to inspire people, but hopefully they all walk away today with like, I know what my step 1 is, my step 2, my step 3, and then just do it, right?
Absolutely. And I've found that real estate agents love having action items. We all like to go sit in an event, take our action items, write them down, and then implement them. So talk to me real quick about the hyper local agent. That is your tagline. I love it. I think it is absolutely spot on. I really don't care if my agent knows everything about Seattle. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina, so I want a hyper local agent. Why is that a difference maker for your agents that work with you?
So the hyper local agent became, a thing just based on the business model that I literally fell into farming. It's like my wonderful story to fame. I didn't set out to do it. I took to it because I tried everything under the sun. And the hyper local agent is officially trademarked as of 2025. So it is not just, the company anymore. It's like it became a movement. Agents that realized, you know what? I want to be that expert. We always hear that comparison, right? Of like, hey, you are going to the doctor because something is wrong. Do you want to go to a general practitioner if something is wrong with your brain, or you want the brain surgeon to actually look at it? And real estate agents, we compare ourselves to doctors, attorneys, right? Because we're handling such a big deal of somebody's life. And it's like, if you think about it, why would they want a generalist? There's so many generalist real estate agents out there. but there's not really a whole lot of experts out there. And that applies to niche markets, small neighborhoods. That applies to your hyper local market. And that's how the hyper local agent came about, really helping agents become that expert where there's no other option but to hire that agent.
Wow. And I've seen that even in our market many years ago. I've been doing this since 1995. And I hope she doesn't mind me calling her out by name, but Anna Page Durant, Buddy Lewis, they were two hyper local agents in one of the neighborhoods. Our premier neighborhood in the Northeast back then was called Wildwood. And properties didn't sell in Wildwood unless either Buddy or Anna Page had it. And they knew more about Wildwood than I think the developers of Wildwood. They were hyper local agents. Seemed like we've moved away from that. So, what is the big challenges, the sales challenges that our agents are facing today? What are the things that you're seeing that's distracting them from doing what they should be doing?
So everybody is distracted by AI, right? Let's just start there. Everybody thinks AI is the answer. Well, AI might have the answer, but unless you translate what that AI component tells you to a real life human relationship, right? Like you're missing the boat. Like if people are going to hire you based on, oh, they put a post out there and it sounded good and now I have them over at my house and they have no clue what they're talking about, right? I mean, you might get an appointment, but you're not converting. So it's like you can't fake it till you make it in this business. You have to know your stuff. That's just, and I think you have a summit coming up where you're going to talk a whole lot about sales trainings and all of that stuff because it's just so important. The message needs to match all throughout the sales journey.
So it's that shiny object syndrome. It's a new shiny object. Let's go look at that instead of looking at what has worked and what continues to work.
And that's just the premise in real estate, right? I mean, the premise in real estate is don't reinvent the wheel. Here's us agents, of course, always trying to reinvent the wheel. But it's like everything that has worked 50 years ago still works today. It just got modified, slightly enhanced. We're not doing anything different, right? If you look at your Facebook ads, that was old school radio advertisement, right? Or if you look at the podcast here, that's the radio news ads that we're running. Like everything had something back then. And there's like another bunch of examples I can't think of on top of my head. But, everything that was working back then is still working today. The principle is the same. The medium may have slightly changed, but it's like, why reinvent what is really not broken, right? Look what was working. Farming historically has always worked. Doesn't matter the market. And that was the part that really interested me in farming. It's in recessions, in downturn markets, you have geographic farming agents withstanding that storm because they did one thing. They built relationships. They built relationships inside their area. So when people had hardships, when people had a hard time, they've had enough trust in that agent to say, hey, I need you to come over. I think I'm upside down on my house. And I need somebody that understands, that will not make me feel bad, and will help me get through this. And this wasn't the agent that just overnight appeared and be like, I'm a foreclosure and short sale expert. They didn't get those neighborhood calls, right? It was the agent that showed up for years in a row and be like, you know what? You've helped my neighbor. I've seen you do the work. I trust that you will do the best possible thing based on my situation. And that is what really, for me, made all the difference to say, I'm going to go all in on this because I want to weather the storm. And I'm actively in production. So last weekend, I went on 2 listing appointments and so 2 out of 2. Both of them are signed in my inbox as of this morning. And that's exactly what other agents need to experience.
So the geo farming aspect of it really is about creating trust, and the way about creating trust, because if they don't trust you, they're not going to hire you. This bottom line, you've got to get over the trust hurdle for somebody to want to hire you. And the geo farming aspect of this is going to create the trust because we're constantly going to be seen as the person in the neighborhood that's been there, done that, worked for people and helped people. So I love that. So let's talk about that. Let's get through these basics here. How do you define what geographic farming is in real estate? Some people know, and some people are like, what are you talking about farming in real estate? And why is that still relevant even today when we're sitting here looking at this digital world of AI and Facebook and everything else under the sun?
So let's start with what's farming. Geographic farming, there's other ways of farming, but geographic farming, you are locating a neighborhood, profitable neighborhood, what we call homes that are in, a a good selling circle. Like some of them are like, I want to do multi-million-dollar mansions. In an average market, if you're marketing something for 2 years, that might be a hard farm to crack. So we typically try to look for something that if you are having a buyer come to town, oh my gosh, something comes on the market here, these properties fly off the market. So that's like one of the things that we always say. If you're looking for an area, right, think about what is flying off the market and where there's a good amount of, people moving. And when you look at geographically an area, like don't pick something that's 2 hours away from you, right? I mean, the goal here is to make it easier on your lifestyle. My farm, I go from one listing to the other in a matter of 5 minutes flat. So it's like if I have to put up a lockbox, if I have to pick up shoe covers, if I have to stop in to drop brochures off, I can get all of that done in a matter of 20 minutes. And the amount of time savings that come back from a geographic location being fairly close to you, it's immeasurable in our busy lifestyles. So geographically, an area that has a good amount of homes that will sell, they have the most likely to sell sellers in it. And people are like, okay, how do I know what that is? Well, let's see and who's actually selling this year, right? There's a wonderful report that comes out every year. It's published by NAR, the National Association of Realtors. And guess what? Their buyer and seller report actually tells you who's selling, what's the demographic, how long have they owned their house. All the info is there, right? So we just help agents really put the pieces together and then implement.
So what we're looking at is turnover rates in the neighborhood, how long people are living there, how often they're selling. You're looking at the competition. Is there anything else that you're looking at this particular neighborhood? Let's just say a neighborhood like Wildwood. We mentioned that earlier today. In that neighborhood, we're looking at Wildwood to determine what its turnover rate is, what other agents are competing in that. Is that what we're looking for?
In general, yes. I do know a little bit about your market, so I do know you have a decent amount of military around. To the best of my knowledge, there's a couple, so there are certain market variations that you should know as a local agent, such as, okay, military, right? They have different turnover there. Like my market, most of my clients have been in the house for 25 plus years. In a military base area, obviously turnover happens on a whole lot quicker level based on wherever the orders go. You just have to up and leave if you ended up buying a house, right? So again, that's local market knowledge. This is something that you should be aware of. And if you're brand new to that market, that should be something that your broker should be advising you on, right? That's what they're there for, to help, to guide. But in general, yes. So you're looking at, okay, who's the seller? Who's the person? What's the story behind it? And there's a lot of indicators in our MLS actually telling us why somebody might potentially sell. Like you can see a house that's going on the market and you can look at the history. Oh, look, they've just owned it for 2 years, right? You can see the loan scenario. Hey, look, that's a VA loan. So you can do research within your market to understand who is likely selling in that neighborhood if you just dig a little deeper.
Okay. So in our geo farming, are we looking at a particular section of town, a neighborhood, a section of a neighborhood, or even down to the street? Or is that yes, yes, and yes?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Okay.
So there's a method to the madness, right? There always is. We are looking to set agents up so they can expand their neighborhood to 1,000 plus homes, at which point we oftentimes look at every door direct mail through the United States Postal Service. And that is what most agents think we use for mail, which isn't quite true, but it's a starting point for you to figure out what area should I consider. And from there, you will see that a neighborhood boundary is not always perfectly clean from a mailing standpoint. But it is a
Okay.
starting point. And then if a neighborhood is predominantly in it, then yes, we do focus on that first before we start growing into a second neighborhood. And it's a gradual growth, right? You just keep expanding and expanding. I expanded from 400 homes when I started to now 5,600, and I'm currently holding steady at those. So it's one of those, you can go as big as you like once you start farming, which is really cool.
But what is the reason to farm to begin with is so I don't just waste money throwing into a neighborhood where the average home buyer lives for 15 years, or I'm not wasting money having to blanket a whole city. Is that the purpose of geo farming, is to narrow my target?
You definitely have to narrow your target. I mean, blanketing a whole city, and again, I'll use my numbers here. My whole city is about 60,000 households.
Okay.
There's just no way that I would be, I could mail them maybe once a year, or I could maybe just pick a smaller target, like my 5,600 homes right now, right? And mail them 8 times a year. Now, we're going to have a whole better impact if we just target it down a little bit further instead of trying to be everything for everybody and everywhere.
Okay. So when you're working with somebody from the very beginning, I'm a real estate agent. I call you up. I live in Columbia, South Carolina, and I say, I want to start, or Greenville, South Carolina, Charleston, whatever. The idea is to start on a smaller scale, try to find something that is workable for my budget, and then start building from there. And it may be that I wind up with 5, 6, 7, 8 different areas over a city as I grow my business. Is
Correct.
that fair?
So
That is.
if somebody comes, and I can give you that link later, typically what we do is we start them on a completely free workshop. We're like, hey, here's a profitable geographic farming workshop. Start there to select your area. And the goal is ideally right around 500-ish homes is where we're targeting it. We used to be at about 300 homes for a neighborhood. Then COVID came about, our low turnover rate came about, and we just said, okay, if we are in the market we are in, we have to adjust. We can't take these numbers for face value. People always like numbers, so I'll just give you some if you like. So we're looking at about 500 homes. Okay, so that is your average, what we would like to see. In terms of turnover rate, a lot of agents still think I need to find a 6% turnover rate. 6% turnover rate as in a regular market. If your market is adjusting like it has been in 2020, 2021, 2022, and I actually did my numbers, I believe, for my farm in 2023, if you see 3% in a seller's market, okay, low inventory, if you see 3% turnover, awesome. Obviously, if we flip to a buyer market, you're going to start seeing higher turnover, right? More properties on the market. Anything above 6% is great too. But that's just a couple guidelines because the stigma is out there. Turnover rate of 6%. I can't find anything for 6%. And I'm like, in a seller market, you're not going to find it. So readjusting really what these expectations are, I think is a big one of what we're currently also doing with agents.
I do think that's very important. And that can change from city to city, community to community. Because, like you said, Columbia, military, university, government, Sumter, another community we're in, Shaw Air Force Base is there. That's going to be a lot more turnover and a higher percentage there versus a city like Greenville, South Carolina, where people love being there. They buy their house. They don't want to move. So they don't move. I think the turnover rate in Greenville is probably closer to the 3%, where in Columbia or Myrtle Beach even might be higher. Does play into that. So let's talk about that. So now we got 500 houses we want to target. What are we doing? Are we doing postcards, newsletters? What kind of mailers are you thinking or saying that works and those that don't work? What am I looking to do?
So the framework that I've used and finally systematized is actually really, really simple. So one of the things that I always look at is what's that sales funnel, right? I mean, everybody's heard about the sales funnel. Like you need to get people on the top and then you get a little bit of a trickle out. And that's at the end of the day, your client. So when we started looking at, okay, what are we actually doing to get people in? It was the postcards. So we turned that one into our pillar for, we call it envelopes because it has an E and it sounds great. So just go with envelopes for now. That might be a flyer. That might be a postcard. That might be a letter. That might be a door hanger. At the end of the day, it's a mailer of sorts, and that can be delivered with a postage automatically. That could be delivered by hand. I have so many agents say, I don't have any money. Well, guess what? Neither did I when I started. I had a good pair of walking, I had a stroller because I had a little 3-year-old along for the ride. And I just had a desire to let me figure this out, right? So first one is envelopes. How do we break into it? We're going to send out something or we're going to get something out the door to the neighbors that just gets us to identify the hand raisers, the ones that might be interested. From there, we're going to go into obviously then their email. Yes, we want them to opt in. We want them to, download a report, get their free home value. We're going to essentially start building our email list. The email list itself has one purpose, which is relationship building. Your real estate license is not making you special. I hate to say it, but it's not very difficult to get it. We all know that, right? So when you are getting your email, the number one purpose is to build a relationship on a like factor. What do you and I have in common, right? That makes us potentially align and do business together, because you're not going to do business with somebody that you can't stand. You're going to find a different option. So your first option or possibility there is to build that connection. That's the relationship marketing we're after. And from there, we're going to go into the last pillar, which we labeled event. So envelope, email, event. The event pillar open houses, listing appointment, buyer consult, hyperlocal open house events, and hyperlocal neighborhood events. Anything that is essentially belly to belly that gets you to, oh no, she's actually a real person. And that's awesome. This past weekend, I had an open house. I had a neighbor come by because they just wanted to meet me. They're like, oh, we're not here for the open house. We're actually here to
Wow,
meet you. And I'm like,
that's
awesome.
success.
I'm a real person. How can I help? I got a listing appointment set for the end of August, right? So it's like that belly to belly event where they did their due diligence. They're going to come and interview me. And if I sounded like nothing like I did on my postcard or on my email, they wouldn't have set that appointment there. They would have been like, oh, we just wanted to come and see, but, thanks so much. And they would have walked out. So
So
that
with
is
that,
where
you're creating trust and that parasocial relationship where they were already knowing and liking you without ever meeting you.
that's what happens in the email. That's the parasocial relationship. And that's how the entire system got put together. Everything at scale. I built my mail at scale, right? It doesn't matter if I send 1, 10, 100, it's the same amount of effort I'm applying. The emails, it doesn't matter if I send 1, 10, 100, it's the same amount of effort I'm applying. Events, it doesn't matter if I have one person show up to my neighborhood event, 10, 100, it's the same effort I'm applying. So it's really a scalable framework that helped me cut down my hours in real estate and just regain the time so that I can sit here now and chat with you about it without feeling stressed out. Like that to me
And you can
is amazing.
And you can go ahead and even incorporate AI and stuff like this to help you create the emails, create the flyers, as long as they don't sound AI. You got to be very careful. A lot of the AI stuff can sound like it came from AI, but you can have it help you create the flyers and create the emails and create the posts and things of that nature.
Oh,
And
100%. I
still,
mean, we
yeah,
do. Yeah, we
there
use it
you
on the
go.
back end, right? It's like it's back end facing for us. So AI is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, we use it, but we use it back end facing, not as much on the front facing.
So this is marrying new technology with old school skills. And
Very much so.
we know, yeah. And right after Sitzer Burnett, everybody from Gary Keller out said that real estate was changing from a speed business to a skills business. And what you're doing is implementing both the skills of old school selling with the speed of being able to use a scalable business, using scalable products and using AI to make it where you're not having to do all of the work, but you're doing it in the old school way. So this is beautiful, quite frankly.
It's definitely interesting. And so many people think direct mail is old school. However,
Hmm.
when I send somebody a piece of mail, there's nothing old school about it anymore. It is probably smarter than anybody's Facebook ad. The technology that's at least at this point applied to postcard marketing, the level of personalization. I mean, I could send you a piece of mail and it would say, hey, Gary, this is for your birthday. And it would have your birthday. It would have, all that like amazing information that to say it, we can find it online. Like how many of my clients have I, celebrated their Facebook birthday for? Well, what if I just take that Facebook birthday and instead of just saying a Facebook happy birthday message that gets lost because it's free, it's cheap, Facebook even tells you the text to send. I don't even look at them anymore. So what did I do? I took it offline. I just sent my client a greeting card, fully automated. Hey, happy birthday. I sent them a brownie with it. It's all automated. On the back end was AI, right? And then from there, it's just I get messages. Oh my gosh, thanks so much for thinking of me. Like that is where
And that's a big factor because in like you said, in emails, everybody gets so many emails that are junk emails. It's just noise now, where getting a piece of mail, in a funny way, is actually exciting. Hey, we actually had mail and it wasn't a bill, because nobody gets mail anymore. It's just bills. So it's nice to see something different. So I think it is a much better touch than just an email or a text message. I get 67 of them on my birthday saying happy birthday. It's like, yeah, great, thanks. Thumbs up,
yeah.
thumbs up.
And there's an interesting one because I don't know what your listeners are in terms of a demographic, but a lot of people think, well, direct mail is old school. It only works for old people. And it's like, well, guess what? Our millennials did not grow up with direct mail. And for them, it's novelty. More millennials are starting to respond to direct mail because for them, it's new, it's exciting. And some of you are like thinking it's mail. Like, are they crazy? No, it's just way they grew up. They grew up in this, computer world where now direct mail is like the new thing for them. And it's getting bigger and bigger, which is just so much fun to see that one.
And so all of yours typically have a call of action. You're wanting them to get to a QR code or typing an email into some type of form so that you know that they're corresponding with you and they're right to be picked.
Yeah, so I mean, our typical call to action, like I said, I mean, our postcards that we're using are going through a software called GeoCentral, and it is really built for real estate agents that want to go all in on geographic farming. So our QR codes are the ones that if you scan it, we know exactly where they went to. We know the address that, they've got delivered to. When somebody scans it, it'll say, hey, Gary at 123 Main Street just scanned the postcard from this shipment. And I'll get a text message and I just know, hey, there's interest. Gary might want to know what his house is worth, right? So that's that first level of what we call the invisible pipeline. Because at this point in where we are in history, people aren't stupid. They're not going to be opting in for your buyer guide. They're not going to be opting in for your seller guide. They're like, I know what you're doing. You're trying to get my information. No, thank you. Or here's a fake email because I know the autoresponder is going to send it to me anyhow, or the next page is going to be
Right.
where it's at. People aren't stupid, right? So it's our job really on a marketing level. Let's just get smarter. So what we've been implementing is the invisible pipeline. Again, that might be the QR code scans. That is one. We still have a website on our postcards that we drive people through to get their home value because there's still people there that like to type it in. Some people don't like to scan QR codes. So we have that call to action on top of it always. Never, ever have a floating QR code. We have it on the back. We have it on the front because I don't care which site they're looking at. It needs to be there, right? Never, ever have a missed opportunity. We have ways where they end up on our website, and we will then use technology to figure out, hey, what is the last known address for this website visitor? And we will start extracting that on an invisible pipeline basis. So when people ask me like, oh, it's direct mail, it's old school. And I'm like, sure, let's go with that. It really
Yeah.
isn't. It's
You know
like
what's not old school? Is making money.
no, money is
Yeah.
still green, right? And it still pays the bills, so we're still happy. But there's nothing old school about direct mail, and I always have to like hold myself back because I really nerd out on that kind of stuff. But it's like instead of just seeing, hey, 3 people visited my landing page, I on the back end now see so and so at 123 Main Street visited my landing page, and here's their email. Like that is the reality of what the internet has come to, right? And it's like now it's a matter of how do I get in front of them? And just like you said, email isn't it. Our email, I got like 17,000 unread emails. And I'm a real estate agent. That's that, right? I mean, I
Mm.
glanced through them, sure. I can't read them all. I mean, on an average hourly basis, I probably get about 100 an hour. It's like, who has the time, right? And it's not just one email. I mean, we all have more than one. So now the question is, what else can we do? And the answer for me was use the channel that is less noisy. Online is not less noisy. Content creation is going through the roof. So where is the least noise happening? It's offline.
I mean, you've convinced me, particularly with the generation that has never received mail, is now seeing that as something neat and interesting. And honestly, it's funny because if you start going to the mailbox, I'm 55 years old. And I go to the mailbox. If there's anything in there now that's not just a bill, I'm looking at all of those flyers now, whether it's something about getting an oil change or anything, just because it's something different. Now, had that been sent to my email, click, delete, 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 would never have even opened it. I believe what you're saying is 100% true. So tell me, for an agent that has a limited budget, how can they get started? What kind of budget would they need to have? Because I do think geo farming is essential if I'm going to do this direct marketing emails and mailers.
Right. So, I mean, there's always the principle from time versus money, right? And I hate to say it, nobody wants to invest their time. Everybody wants to just push a button and then it's like kind of done. So I'm just going to assume somebody will decide to send postcards with a stamp because it's just the most likely scenario. However, if somebody says, you know what, I have grit and I like to get my steps in, you go and do it manually because there is nothing wrong with delivering, an amazing marketing piece in a door hanger bag and just letting them know, hey, here's me, right? Time versus money principle. It's big, it's forgotten. But for the sake of this one, how much do I need? So we have the 500 home subdivision, let's just say. There is really no need for you to be sending this to all 500 homes when you get started, right? So it goes back to let's target who's your seller. Now, let's say it's an established neighborhood. I know you have a whole lot of new construction in the area, but let's just say it's a little bit more of an established neighborhood. And people in general, after about 10 years or so, you seem to have, people are moving, upgrading, moving to a different place. You would want to see, okay, out of those 500 homes, how many of these people have owned for more than 10 years? Like, that's a fantastic list to target, right? And don't target them once, at least target them over 2-3 touches. What you want there is not listings. You want people to just raise their hand. I'm kind of curious what my house is worth, right? Remember, envelopes, emails, events. You want the hand raisers. Direct mail is your hand raising campaign. The way I compare it is everybody had these solar panel companies come to their neighborhoods, right? Everybody knows them. So let's assume they would send a postcard into that neighborhood and they're like, hey, if you have heard about solar panels and you're just a little bit interested, you want to see what your neighbor said at 123 Main Street, right? If they're just a little bit interested, they will engage. So now instead of you going to try and knock 500 homes from that solar panel company, right, you have maybe identified, let's say, 40. So now I'm just going to go to these 40 homes that have expressed an interest in the solar panel program, and I'm going to go and talk to them because now I just got a whole lot more efficient. And I didn't piss off half the neighbors that are now posting on Facebook. Watch out, solicitors are running all around all over the place. We've all seen the posts, right? But it's one of those things that you can now identify the people that have expressed an interest. And when you come to their door, it is no longer a matter of, oh, I don't want to talk to you, but like, you know what? That was actually very interesting. And you're just really cutting through the noise, right? So same in real estate. Those envelopes, we're going to go for the people that have been there for 10 years. Let's just assume it's 50 houses, okay? Everybody can send 50 postcards. Everybody can send 50 postcards 5 times, right? There's nothing crazy. You can walk to these 50 houses if you wanted to, right? It's easy enough to do. The problem is people just don't do it. And then from there,
And that's
it's just the staying in touch. The staying in touch is fortunate in the follow-up. How many times have we heard that, right? When I got started, I was on a webinar, and it was from Grant Cardone, the master of 10x sales. I mean, he trained salespeople. Like, to this day, I have his graphic saved on my phone because that is what they like, him or don't like him. I mean, I personally don't care what the stance is. He is an expert when it comes to sales stats. And some of the stats that he had there was most people follow up 2 or 3 times and then that's it. Disappear. Done. And most sales are made on the 7th or 8th follow-up, right? Google just had a new marketing formula out. It's like people need to engage with you for 7 hours, right? 11 different touches over 4 different platforms. Doesn't matter where you look, you start seeing all these marketing stats out there that just tell you the fortune is in the follow-up. So what do you do if you have a hand raiser? Most agents don't even put any thought into it. They're like, well, you want to list your house? No? Okay, cool. Well, that was a waste of time. It's like,
cool.
that wasn't a waste of time. You just didn't follow up and you missed the opportunity, right? Like, that was an expensive postcard, which is why we have the number one thing that we hear, postcards are expensive. Well, they aren't really expensive. I've been tracking my own ROI, and again, 60,000 postcards. Set it on your introduction. That's my average, what I send. I'm actually currently scaling it up a little bit. But what I am having as a return is a 10x ROI. Postcards for me are not expensive. I'm like, I spent $1, I end up making 10, right? Like, this is like, give me more dollars. So it's really interesting. Fortunes in the follow-up. So just make sure you're not blowing your budget on just simply getting the leads. Typically what we tell people is if your budget is, $100, 70 for leads, 30 for follow-up. You got to budget in both. And I think not a lot of people are very honest about the reality of numbers, which is what makes agents really get frustrated with the end results.
Wonderful information today. I could go on for another 45 minutes with you because this is really interesting stuff. If our agents want to learn more about you and your program, how would they find you?
We have weekly lunch and learns that are completely free to attend, and that's national. So anything and everything is thehyperlocalagent.com, and there's so many wonderful free resources. We're here to help. Answer questions. I'm not here to sell you into anything. If you have questions, reach out. I'm a real person. I'm happy to answer anything and everything.
Fantastic. Well, Janine, thank you for sharing your time with us today. And thank you, everybody, for another episode of Dish and Dirt. We'll look forward to having you all back again next week. And if you'll please like us, share us, and subscribe to us, and let all the other real estate agents know about this great content we get from great people like Janine, and the time they spend with us is always very valuable. So y'all have a great weekend, and we'll see you again next week.